So finally back at her. It's been a while. I haven't came out here. But I'm going to sand this down now. So all I got is some lukewarm water. Just clean water. And I'm going to start wiping this down. It develops a thing called amine blush. And you just gotta, it dissolves in water. Water is soluble. So I'm just going to go around and clean it all up, and then wipe this off with a dry paper towel, and then I'll be able to start my sanding. Okay, so I did it with the blue pad, but some of it's still, for some odd reason, maybe that is. Anyway, I'm just going to be safe, but I'm just going to wet sand it before and I'm just going lightly so that it dissolves in water. But I'm just going to give it a light little wet sand with some 40 grit. Just to be extra safe. It's my first time doing this, and I definitely don't want to cause any issues. So I'll just lightly go over the surface with some water and wet sand with a 40 grit, wipe that up, and start sanding it to where I like the taper. And then we'll glass in our first layer of 1708. Once it kicks off, I'll glass in another layer. Very hot in here today. 24°C. Feels more like 30. There, it only took another 30 seconds. I just used very light pressure. Went over all of it with lots of water and washed it off. I'll just wait till it's completely dry, which is practically now. I'll wet sand it, or now proper sand it, because I might have went a little bit thick there, and I want the curve on the inside to be kind of symmetrical on both sides, but I think I went a little bit thick on the side, so I'm just going to take a little bit down and roughen up the whole surface. So I'm going to patch the back hole today, and this is what I'm going to do with. Just found a piece of wood. It has a slight, oh, you can spot that. Anyway, it has a slight curve to it, which is identical to the curve going up and down. So what I'm going to do is push that up against here. And it sits, so probably camera's got all messed up. It sits flush, and I'll just wedge it up against there. I'll show you that in a second here. So there, that's what that looks like. It's all sealed. Now, from the inside, I'm going to wet out all that edge. So what I did is from the inside out about 2 inches or so, I beveled it out so it's really thin at the inside corner and then the thicker. So I'm going to put a first piece of glass all the way out the outside, probably with a little bit of mayonnaise like peanut butter on top of it while I wet it out, just to fill some voids even in the back. And then and then I'll go with a smaller piece and a smaller piece and maybe another smaller piece if it needs it. And then I'll mimic that original transom and have it bonded to the original transom well. And I'm going to fill the holes too with putty before I do it, and then I'll have a chemical bond with those holes, with those plugs. I'm not going to do any of the other holes. I'll do those when I do my big layer 1708 across it. I'll tape off the back sides, and then I'll putty up those holes, and then wet it all out, or wet it out, then putty up the holes, and then put my my 1708. That way I'll have a chemical bond with all the holes, just not a mechanical bond. Well, there it is on the inside. Had to use little wedges just to close the gap. There was like a millimeter or two. Because when I beveled this, you can see it's very thin here. And this should be like, it's usually like 1/4 inch. Then I beveled it back to probably about here, right where that is. Which is somewhere around, a little over 2 inches. And maybe 2-3 inches. So yeah, it was nice and flush at the bottom, just there. Made that fiberglass bend a little bit. So putting these two little braces here just kind of holds it tight. So now what I'll do is I'll wet this all out. And then I will putty inside the holes. And also put a little bit in the edges here. And maybe even just a little bit here, just in case there's some curves or whatever. And then lay my first piece of 1708. I think I'll wet out the 1708 before I put it on. And then the second one will come into, first one will go to here, second one to about here, third one maybe around here, whatever it is. And then I'll just take a straight edge and I'll go across and see if I'm too thick or I need one more layer. Minimize my sanding afterwards. Then this will be now one complete unit sealed from the inside, because ultimately my goal is I don't want to drill any holes in this transmetal. I will then wet this entire thing out, tape off these holes, putty them up, and then lay my 1708 so I get a mechanical bond or chemical bond to all my holes, and then another 1708, and then let that cure. And after that's complete, that's when I'll start with my wood, and I'm just going to use this technique. I'm actually going to drill holes in the wood, probably about that size, in some of the spots where I got the worst curves or compound curves, to make sure I'm touching and apply my bracing, dry fit it all, make sure I'm touching everywhere, mark out all my bracing and where they need to go. And then once I got it all out and set up properly, that's when I know that I could get full contact just with bracing. And then I will push in my first piece. I'll probably dry fit two pieces because I might do two at the same time. Actually, no, I think I'll do one. It'll be better that way. But yeah, that's my plan. Well, I'm not touching this. It's like 32 or 33 out, and it's about 40 degrees in here. So, yeah, that's not happening today. All set up and ready, but no way I'm doing it in this heat. Oh yeah, that's my little setup. We'll stack there. Maybe I'll look at this tomorrow.